Man, what a brutal way to see the Trae Young era end in Atlanta. And listen, I think we all knew this was coming. You could see it coming from a mile away as this thing had kind of run its course for both Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks over these last couple of seasons as he's somewhat trending downwards in terms of his impact out there. And so essentially what ended up occurring was a salary dump as there were no picks exchanged. The players that were brought back for Trae Young don't really amount to much outside of maybe having utility out of Corey Kispert next season and a couple seasons beyond. But the totality of what was exchanged was literally just CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert for Trae Young. Again, no draft compensation, nothing was included in that regard. And this essentially boils down to getting up off of Trae Young's just huge salary. Now, CJ makes $30.7 million and he is on an expiring contract, which, as we know, that is a valuable commodity in the NBA, especially in terms of trying to facilitate additional moves. Corey Kispert, he is in the first year, if I'm not mistaken, of the rookie scale extension that he signed, and he's, for $54 million. He's going to be with them unless he is included in a deal later on down the line, maybe next season or during the offseason. They cannot aggregate his salary to my knowledge, so I don't expect that to be the case for him. But yeah, he's for the foreseeable future, he is likely to be on that Atlanta Hawks roster unless something else out of the blue happens. He does have a team option for the 2028-29 season, but essentially, again, just a salary deal. A couple of other small details to take stock of. Atlanta is actually going to generate a $1.4 million trade exception, and Young's trade bonus will boost his 2025-26 salary by nearly $400,000 to a maximum of $46.4 million. He has a $49 million player option for the 2026-27 season, which that's not really going to change at all, and he can sign an extension for up to 2 years beyond that once this deal actually goes through. Now, something else I think that goes without saying here is that this doesn't really change too much their plans to try and chase after a big name like Anthony Davis, who we know the Mavericks and the Hawks have been in talks and engaged about trying to acquire Davis. But in saying that, I'm just not sure that actually happens, because it's been reported by Shams and other media outlets that the Hawks have actually resisted including former number one overall pick Zachary Risachet and the unprotected pick that they got in the Derek Queen trade. So I don't necessarily think that's going to end up happening, as it just seems like they've ruled those two off the table. We'll have to keep an eye on that one. The chances of him landing in Atlanta kind of dwindle down, but the Mavericks and the value of Davis probably is doing the same thing. It's going down. The value is going down, and the time for them to actually send him out and get good value in return, that's also, time is running out on that. Something else I think that's important to take stock of here is that they've essentially signaled that we are ready to build around Jalen Johnson, who's essentially become this big time do-it-all type of all-star talent over there in Atlanta, and they have a bunch of weapons that they can put around him. And not to mention, they still have a decision to make on KP and what the future looks like with him. But if I am Atlanta, I do feel pretty good about what I have right now. Dyson Daniels and Corey Kispert coming to town, CJ McCollum, right? Jalen Johnson, Zachary Risachet, as I already mentioned, and some other pieces that they can put out there. And while this season may not yield the type of results that they want, as I think they're 10th in the East as of recording this, the future, despite getting no picks in this exchange, it still looks pretty solid for the Hawks. Overall, though, this is just about salary dumping. This is literally just about getting off of Trae Young's salary. It's not about this year. It's literally about how much Jalen Johnson has emerged and how confident they feel in moving on to the next era of Hawks basketball. And while a salary dump is not exactly what you expected and how this to be the end result for a player the caliber of Trae Young, it certainly makes sense with this new CBA and the aprons and the restrictions of which how that has made life in the NBA in terms of navigating salaries for stars. It's made it really difficult. So it does make sense that it kind of ended up this way. I was just wondering why there wasn't a few draft picks exchanged, something. But regardless, let me know what you think about this trade in the comments below, because to me, I think that there is no real clear winner in this. I guess if you want to grade it, I would give maybe Washington a B minus grade for getting a true star to put next to some of the young talent they have there, and moving forward with the draft capital that they do have in their treasure trove of picks. I think that it makes sense in the future, but it doesn't really feel like a clear winner. And for Atlanta, obviously, just getting off of that salary of Young does make sense, especially if you're going to pursue a bigger star, somebody like an Anthony Davis, or if you want to build around the likes of Jalen Johnson, re-sign KP, et cetera, et cetera. So there doesn't really feel like a clear winner to me, but I can see why the trade was made. Regardless, let me know what you think in the comments below.